Hi, for the most of you who do not know, I am a chartered accountant. This video is about how I became a CA. Now, why am I doing this video is because this is one of the most asked questions on this channel. I had to answer, and today is the day. I was just a teenager when I decided that I'm gonna do CA because my best friends were doing. I mean, 16, 17-year-old does not really have a lot of idea as to what they want to do with their lives. And that was exactly my case. I was good with studies, but I did not know what to do. And CA seemed to be a good option because I was in the commerce stream. And in commerce, CA is the highest you can go. I mean, that's how we perceive it. One fine day, I got a phone call कि हाँ ठीक है, we are going to Kanpur to get ourselves registered as CA students. Are you interested? I said, why not? Yes, definitely, let's go. And I was like, ठीक है, सोचेंगे, अभी तो चलते हैं. And that's how we ended up in Kanpur. We got ourselves registered. It's a comparatively cheaper is not a very good word to use, but yeah, cost efficient course. And you really have to pay very little to become a CA in case you do not want to join coachings. But I wanted to join coachings because again, my friends were doing, so I had to do. Now talking about how many attempts it took me, as far as I remember, though it's been really long now, as far as I remember, mostly all my attempts gave me something. Okay, my CA foundation was cleared in the first attempt with distinction. Moving on to CA intermediate, which is another 2 years or so. We began with our internship, articleship. So in the morning, you would go to the office, you would sit there 6-7 hours, work, come back to home, study for 1 or 2 hours, 3 hours, and then you go back to sleep. And then again, you get up in the morning, you go to office. And I was also doing graduation along with my CA. Meanwhile, I also topped my college in graduation first year. That was a shocker. My parents received my trophy for my topping graduation first year. When he received my award, I was in Delhi in a class. I was taking my coaching for CA Intermediate. CA Intermediate, it took me 2 attempts. First attempt, I cleared my second group. And second attempt, I cleared my first group. So you have 2 groups in CA Intermediate. When you clear both of them, you reach your CA final. That's how it happens. My second group was cleared, but my first group was still hanging. I had to finish that before I could join CA final and be a CA final student. But I did not wait. I enrolled myself for CA final coaching in Delhi. I started off with my classes for CA final without receiving my result for CA intermediate. It was such a difficult decision at that time because we had very average amount of money in our bank. We did not have a lot of money, and had I not cleared my CA intermediate in that attempt, I would have to go back and do my CA intermediate and then take CA final coaching. But I had already paid all the money for CA final coachings. I know how scared I was because I knew that it is already a huge burden for my parents. It was a huge burden, trust me. When I was in Delhi and taking my coachings, I don't know what amount of suffering was going on behind me at my home. But they managed, my parents managed. They sent me for my CA final coachings. And the day my CA intermediate result had to come out, oh my god, my heart, I cannot tell you. It was ready to come out of my chest and blow it apart. I was crying inside that agar fail ho gayi to main kya karungi? Like, will I be going back to Lucknow, completing my CA intermediate and then come back to CA final again and take my coachings? What will I do? And what is the guarantee that in the next attempt you would clear this? Because CA is a tough exam, you don't easily clear. Will I study CA final and CA intermediate together? There were so many questions in my head. But anyway, I remember I was sitting in my costing class. So costing is the subject of CA final. I was sitting in my costing class. I got a call from my father. So I had to step out of the class and I picked up the phone with shaking hands like this. Okay. And I was like, Papa, क्या हुआ? Pass हुई मैं? And Papa was like, बेटा, clear हो गया. God, I cannot tell you. I was jumping with joy. It was the happiest moment of my life. The most happiest moment ever. There was this thappa that my parents' money is not gonna go down the drain. I came out of the class as a CA intermediate student. I went back in the class as a CA final student. I told my friends, there were 10 or 12 of them, and everybody started congratulating. And this class was 500, 600 students together, sitting together. Everybody started congratulating, and there were few of them. There was somebody I used to like, I remember, in that class. So he also congratulated me that day. No, but we never spoke. He was just like, Acha, Alina, congratulations. I heard it and was like, oh, yeah, thank you. I was like, anyway, in my CA final, I had 8 papers to give. So 8, okay? Out of these 8, I had exemption in 2 of these. So exemption, by exemption, you mean that you could not pass the entire group, but you got a distinction in one subject, and that one subject you do not need to appear again. There are these 4 papers. You have to get 40 in each, okay? And collectively together, you have to get a total score of 200. Which means on an average, you have to get 50 marks each. So one paper in group 2 was exempt and one paper in group 1 was exempt. So in all, I had to give 6 papers, okay? And I remember I don't know, it was my second attempt or so. I gave all my exams. All my exams were over. I was appearing for my last one. And in the last exam, I got such severe cramps in my stomach that I could not write anything. I was lying down for 3 hours on my answer sheet and just scribbling something with a lot of pain in my stomach. I could not write anything. And with that pain in my stomach, I had to drive back to my house. The result came out. Everything was almost okay. I don't remember exactly what happened, but in this last exam, so per paper, you have to get at least a 40 for the group to be cleared. In the last paper, when I had got my cramps, I got a 25 in that. My entire group went. I had to appear for all of it again. Similarly, in group 1, accountancy I flunked. I could not clear accountancy. Accountancy is the first exam of group 1. I could not clear accountancy, because of which I had to appear for group 1 again. So again, I had to appear for 6 papers. Now this time, the paper where I had got my cramps and I could not write anything, and I got a 25, because of which in the very next attempt I got a 65 in the same paper. So it was a jump of 40 marks straight, and it was a distinction in the same paper. And yeah, I did become a CA in that attempt. So that's how it happened. I had asked a friend of mine to see my result, because I could never see my result. It was either my father or a friend of mine who would look up my result, because I did not have the guts. I didn't have them at all. So he looked up my result. He called me and he said, "अरे तू CA बन गई." And I was like, "देख, अगर तूने मजाक किया ना, तेरी हड्डियां तोड़ दूंगी." नहीं नहीं नहीं, तू बन गई भाई, तू बन गई, तू पक्का बन गई. थोड़ा पक्का promise, मैं बन गई ना, बन गई. I was crying. My father was crying. My mom was crying. There was so much noise of crying in the house that actually neighbors came to our house to ask, "Is everything okay? Why is everybody crying?" I mean, my father was extremely emotional in that moment. It was one of the beautiful most moments of my life. He was very happy. He threw a party that night. We celebrated in a restaurant. He called his friends over. Just let me cover the last part, and that was my friends. I did for once in my life made a few friends when I was doing my CA coachings. There was a big group. I can tell you a few names. There was Arpit. Arpit was such a great guy. Arpit, and there was Sankalp, there was Nikita, there was Swati, Sakshi, Mehek. I was there, Deepak, Kratika, and Ankit, Ayush. So there were 10 or 12 of us who were there, and we had a blast. We enjoyed ourselves. A lot of such good memories are coming back to me. I would get out of the coaching and we would walk till the metro, a huge group, 8-10 people, sometimes 4, sometimes 3, sometimes 5. We would walk to the metro, take the metro together, save money on auto. So if it was a good day, we would sit in an auto, because auto was expensive. And otherwise, on an ordinary day, we would travel by buses. That's how it used to be. And once or twice we would try and steal on the ticket of the bus also. That had happened too. I was caught. But anyway, that is a story for some other time. So that is it. Yes, so those friends were amazing. On every one's of ours birthday, each one of us, we celebrated. We would watch movies together. I wasn't dating anyone. No, I didn't have anybody at that time at all. Yeah, so I was just working and I was doing my job. I was just studying. That was my job. There was no other job. But yes, I would participate in other people's affairs. Yeah, so I would listen to their stories, give my advice, help them, be the nice friend who would listen to all your stuff and lend your shoulder to cry on. Yes, I would do that. Thank you very much. Oh my god, I ate half an hour of your life. Bye. Bye.